Today, the sport of pickleball reaches new heights as it advances into a new year. Welcome to the 2024 Major League Pickleball Australia Draft. We are extremely excited about this. There's new teams, a whole lot of new players, and plenty more prize money up for grabs. Now, of course, we are coming to you live from Melbourne, the home of the Wiradjuri people. So we do pay our respects to the traditional custodians and the owners of the land and our elders, both emerging present and also into the past and the future. My name is James Preston. We can't wait for what should be an incredible evening to find out exactly the new direction of pickleball in the country. Now, I do have an incredible panel with me here today. To my left is the Major League Pickleball Australia Commissioner, Sanj Carter. Further to my left is Brendan Lee. He is, of course, doing some wonderful thing in the world of pickleball. He is the Pickleball Association of Australia Executive Officer. And to my right, for all of our in-depth analysis for what should be an incredible draft, is Gordon Watson, our official commentator. So we are just moments away from getting stuck into things here, but this should be truly quite exciting. Let's break it all down as to how things are set to work, though. So, of course, a lot of players across the draft pool here that we do need to get through. But in terms of what we are trying to align here, it's 12 teams that are going to have to be doing the selection process. They'll be playing across 6 events, and the teams consist of 1 captain. Now, these captains have already been assigned to the team, so 48 players in total, a further 3 players for each of these captains to select, so 36 spots up for grabs. 1 regional player for each of these teams. They do, of course, have their own regions across the greater Asia Pacific, and then 2 additional players. There is a little caveat, but I'm sure Brendan and Gordon can take you through that in a moment. And it's 2 seasons made up of 3 events each, February through to May and August through to November. And then, of course, just to spice things up, a July redraft with the original captains still remaining, but who knows what happens from there. And, of course, the big one, $700,000 of prize money. So all to play for. There is a lot on the table. Now, Gordon, I want to take this over to you. Of course, we know that we're expanding this year. This is a really exciting thing, but it also throws a bit of a spanner in the works. Obviously, we've gone from 4 teams to 12. What else can you tell us outside of the new players, the extra money and the new teams?
Well, 2023 was a massive year for pickleball in Australia. We had 4 fantastic teams from 4 metropolitan areas. This year, the expansion's into 12 regions throughout Australia and the Asia Pacific, and it's going to be amazing. We've got a dream draft list that you could only imagine. It's just stacked with talent, and whoever makes it onto a team tonight is going to be laughing because it's going to be such a tough job.
It's a really great point. I mean, obviously one of the fastest growing sports in the world. I believe over in America, 40% of all tennis courts have now been converted into pickleball courts. So that just goes to show you the scope and the breadth and the rate that it's growing at too. So very exciting stuff. Brendan Lee, let's bring you into the fold now as well. Obviously, we've got those 12 teams, 4 still existing from last year. The captains are floating about too, but there was a lot of bonds that were formed across 2023. They might be blown out of the water now.
Yeah, with the expansion from 4 teams to 12, more and more players coming into this Asia Pacific pickleball pool. So the captains this year have really had to do their homework, really study, not just players in Asia, but also players internationally as well. And it's going to be great to see them come into the mix in 2024.
And I know both yourself and Gordon have been doing plenty of study ahead of this one, so we've got all the in-depth analysis as each selection is made. But let's take you through exactly how the captains will be dealing with this process, because it's all up to them. We don't have the owners, such as LeBron James and Tom Brady. It's down to our captains here. So they will be taking a choice here out of our massive pool. Around about 300 players applied, roughly whittled that down to 150. But the captains will make 3 picks each. 36 picks in total are available, and the draft is made up of 3 rounds. Now, Sanj Carter, just before I have you head over there for the official duties, take us through how each round works.
Absolutely, James, and we are really excited, as you know. And obviously, round 1 will kick off with Southeast Asia Surge. They won the draft lottery when we drew that back in December, so they will pick number 1 right through to number 12, the Brisbane Breakers. We'll then see in round 2 a reverse, with Brisbane Breakers kicking it off, with Southeast Asia Surge finishing the round for round 2. And our third round becomes a hybrid split, okay, with the last pick of the whole draft, pick 36, going to the Asia Aces. So we're going to see some really amazing picks, and can't wait to see what the teams end up as.
It's giving me haunting flashbacks of Christmas where you try to pick the present from the other person and you keep switching around. So we'll see what kind of presents and gifts are up for our captains here. So, Sanj, I'll excuse you for now because this is all going to get very, very exciting. 36 players, of course, that we need to put some teams together for. Let's begin, Gordon, with Southeast Asia because they're going to get the first pick here and that could really make things quite interesting for our other teams.
Well, the first pick, they can really set the scene for the whole draft. But be careful because it is a double-edged sword. You know, you get the first pick this round, but in the second round you get the last pick. So I'm sure the captains have thought long and hard about the strategy that they have adopted and the players that they're really looking for. I'm sure they'll have an idea of what player is going to be around at the right time of their pick. So it's going to be interesting. I just cannot wait.
Yeah, I think we can all feel the tension here in the room. Hopefully you can too as well, no matter where you're watching from. I know we do have some people watching up in Queensland. We'll cross to them in just a moment. But first, let's take you through the actual order of the team. So we know Southeast Asia gets the very first pick. But if we bring it up here on the screen, we'll see how our other 12 picks are showcased. So Southeast Asia Surge get the first opportunity. Melbourne Mavericks second, then the Eastern Rush. The Sydney Smash, which is a very good lottery for them, having had a very successful 2023 campaign. The Gold Coast Glory in at 5th spot. Asia Aces 6th. Northern Crocs 7th. Western Vipers 8th. Fast 4 get the 9th position. New Zealand Hustle, another one of our new sides, will get the 10th spot. The 2 Kiwi outfits are sandwiched here. The Southern Stars are next. And then we wrap it all up with the Brisbane Breakers. So a very interesting sequence of events about to unfold. I can't wait for it. I know there's another man that is certainly looking forward to it. So we might be able to catch up with him a little later on. But for now, I think it is just about time to get stuck into things. So I would like to now try and throw it over to Sanj Carter to take us through the first round draft picks. Gentlemen, just before we cross to Sanj, I want to get your first take here. Who do we think might be the first to go? Brendan, we'll start with you.
Look, it's really difficult with the Southeast Asia team as picking first. It's really hard to know whether they're going to go with an Asian player, an international player, or an Australian player. And that's the beauty of this format, isn't it? So, look, I expect them to pick an Asian player so they can actually travel, train, all those things together in the first half of this year. But it'll be very interesting to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, we know we have quite a few players, whether it be from Hawaii, the Philippines, Thailand even. So there's quite a few floating around that are in that broader Asia-Pacific region. Do you think it is an advantage to, I suppose, select within those parameters, or would you just be looking potentially for the best player you can possibly find in that first pick?
Well, it's a really tough decision that the captains need to make, and it really comes back to the synergy that they have with certain players. I'm sure Pei, she's played in international tournaments. She would have played with some of these players that are in the draft. So I think she'd be really tempted to go with one of those players who she already has a synergy with. Otherwise, you know, like, wow, you just look at the list and some of the names that are on that list and she could go any way. So, yeah, I just can't wait to see what happens.
No, I agree with you. And look, I think we've done enough talking. We're all on tenterhooks, so let's get stuck into it. It's now time to begin our official 2024 Major League Pickleball Australia draft process. I'll turn it over to our league commissioner, Sanj Carter.
With the number 1 pick in the 2024 Season 1 Major League Pickleball Australia draft, the Southeast Asia Surge select from Australia, Lucas Pascoe.
Oh.
Well, there we go. Brendan and Gordon, the Southeast Asia Surge. It's gone against the grain, I suppose. We were probably thinking potentially someone from Asia, but it's right here on home soil, one of the best players that we can think of in terms of picking up the paddle down under. Lucas Pascoe.
100%. I don't know about you, Gordon, but I am surprised by this pick. It's an exciting pick. Lucas has really proven himself over the last 12 months as one of Australia's leading players here. So I'm really excited to see what Lucas can do for the Southeast Asia Surge.
Gordon, we talk a lot about harmony in a team, chemistry. Is Lucas the kind of player you can really build a strong team around?
I don't know if you can see, but I'm really excited. Lucas is an absolute champion. He's only just turned 17, so he's this precocious talent. He's just a magician on court, and I think Pay has made a really smart decision here. I can't speak highly enough of Lucas, and I like to think him as already as the Roger Federer of pickleball in Australia, because he's a great competitor on court and he's such a gentleman off court. So I think he's going to be a great ambassador.
And great to see that temperament as well, because we know when Roger Federer first came into the fold, he was a little bit rough around the edges, so to speak. He could fly off the handle a bit, but Lucas doesn't seem to do that.
No.
He's already very mature.
Yeah, he's cool, calm, and he'll sting you when you least expect it.
And Brendan, in terms of that stinging factor, what does Lucas bring to the table? What kind of style can we expect to see him play?
He certainly has the X factor. He's one of the most explosive players on the tour. He has great variety up the front of the court. He can pull the trigger at any given time. And it's just a really great moment for Lucas's family, and especially Dad Chris, who has spent a lot of the last few years travelling with Lucas on this journey. So it's great to see.
Yeah, terrific. All right, that's our first selection of the round one draft. Let's get our second pick back to Sanj Carter.
With the number 2 pick, the Melbourne Mavericks select from the USA/Australia, Damien Spizzo.
Well, there we go, Damien Spizzo. Now, I know both of you had him reasonably high up in the list, but were we expecting him to land in Melbourne?
Well, I must admit I'm taken by surprise. Damien, he's an Aussie boy. He's from the Mornington Peninsula, and he's played several years in the States, and he's really, I guess, earned his trade or applied his trade over there and become a fantastic elite player. So, yeah, and I think, you know, when you think about it a bit more deeply, because he is from the Mornington Peninsula, it's a nice fit for Aaron, who's a local boy as well. So maybe that factor, what we were talking about before, that ability to train together, I think it's a big factor in Aaron's choice.
Well, not only that, Gordon, but as well the fact that he does actually occupy that regional slot, because that's very important too. They haven't actually used up an international. They can still work outside of the borders of Victoria.
Exactly. It's a very surprising but very strategic choice.
Brendan, do we think it's an astute selection?
Look, I think Damien brings a wealth of knowledge, as Gordon said, from the US, playing on the tours over there. His knowledge will definitely help not just Aaron, but anyone else that Aaron benches in that team to help them develop as the season goes on. So that's going to be really exciting from the Melbourne Mavericks, not just to bring a quality player, but the wealth of knowledge, the coaching that Damien can bring, and also bring that team up and along with him.
Now, it's worth pointing out as well that whilst we're doing this draft, each and every time there is a selection made, the clock begins once again. It starts ticking down just 2 minutes, so often there's a lot of reflex action going on from our captains. Let's see how these most 2 recent selections, our first 2 for the Southeast Asia Surge and also the Melbourne Mavericks, has things playing out for our third selection, the Eastern Rush.
With the number 3 pick, the Eastern Rush select from Australia, Joseph Wild.
Well, there we go. Things are about to get very wild indeed. Joseph Wild to Eastern Rush. Brendan Lee, this is a solid pick.
Look, I'm not surprised by this pick at all, to be honest. Katie and Joey have actually played a bit together this year, and they've had some great success on the court. It's great to see these American players who were Australians, grew up here, coming back to play here in Australia because of the opportunities that are now present. So Katie playing with Joey doesn't surprise me. They're going to be a formidable pair in the mix, presuming they do pair up. I think they will.
Oh, be crazy not to.
And Gordon, let's talk a little bit about the fact that he is also technically an international selection, if you will, and how that, I suppose, alters the makeup, the genetics of that team.
Yeah, well, I like to think of Joey as wild by name and wild by nature, because he's just explosive on court. And the makeup of that team, well, you've got a really great foundation now. You've got Katie, who's just an absolute gun, and Joey, who already, they've combined well at a few tournaments already. So just those 2 as a foundation sets the Eastern team on a really good trajectory.
Brendan, how important is that combination?
100%. You need to have chemistry. You need to have synergy with your player, with your whole players on your team. The lefty-righty combo, as we know, Katie's a lefty. She brings that X factor. She has more power than most females on the tour, a lot more than most of the men on the tour. So they've combined really well. They have the opportunity to train together as well. And we might see as this draft goes on, a lot of the teams don't have that opportunity to train. These 2, being both located in Queensland, they're going to be training together regularly these first 6 months of the year.
And for Joey Wild, What kind of play style does he bring to the table?
Look, he doesn't bring us through the strong racket background like a lot of the players, in Australia currently do. He brings the pedigree from the US. His skills have been sharpened in the US of A, where he's honed his skills and he's developed an all-round game. He's proven himself in the back end of this year in Australia to be one of Australia's best players. He's podiumed really regularly, no matter who he's played along the sides of, whether it's been Mitch or Jay or Katie. He's had great results no matter who he's played with, and that just shows the type of player that he is.
Yeah. You mentioned Mitch Hargraves, of course, as the next selection for us for the Sydney Smash. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Of course, a massive 2023 campaign for the Sydney Smash. Let's turn it back over to our League Commissioner, Sanj Carter.
With pick number 4 in the draft, Sydney Smash select Amelia Schmidt.
Now, I'll tell you what, if there was one selection we probably could have not just penciled in, but perhaps permanent market in, I think it was this one, Amelia Schmidt back to the Sydney Smash.
Look, Amelia came onto the scene mid last year, exploded onto the scene. Didn't just come onto the scene, this girl exploded onto the scene in 2023. She quickly was able to find some really good partners, Mitch being one of those, and that was because of they were playing together on the Sydney Smash as well. They've played together plenty of times in mixed doubles in 2023. They're the Australian national champions alongside their obviously great results at PPL events and other events throughout 2023. As you said, it's no surprise they're going to be tough to beat in 2024.
Yeah.
And Brendan, this is the thing as well. I mean, you've spent a lot of time with the Sydney Smash. It's a very tight-knit group. So we talk a bit about chemistry there. It doesn't get much bigger than this.
Look, it's not just the chemistry. I think they actually complement each other's games really well as well. They had the chance to travel to the US late last year, play a tournament together over there. So they've also had some experience in the US playing together, and that just hardens a player. It allows them to play against the high-level players more regularly, and also a different style of players that we see in the US in comparison to Australia. So no surprise here, as you said.
And Gordon, the other thing here, we look at the Melbourne Mavericks selection of Damien Spizzo, for example, bit of a veteran in the scene. Amelia's still coming up in terms of her career. It's still quite early. She's very young. Is there a lot of room for growth for her still?
The thing I love about Amelia is, like Brendan said, she burst onto the scene last year. She won a number of triple crowns and a quadruple crown with a teams event as well. So she comes with pedigree. And the thing I love about Amelia as well, she burst onto the scene as a power player, but now has developed a soft game. So I like to refer her as the Annalee Waters of Australian pickleball.
Look out for that backhand too.
Yeah.
And for my mum, also, please look out for the backhand. I don't want to be punished anymore if I step into the kitchen at the wrong time. So, I'm learning to cook still. Just leave me alone. But someone we won't be leaving alone is Sanj Carter, our League Commissioner, is back for our 5th pick here. The Gold Coast Glory now up.
With pick number 5, the Gold Coast Glory select from Australia, Danielle Townsend.
Now, Gordon, I'm going to have to come to you there because I heard that. I don't know if it got picked up on the mic. The sigh, the big breathe there. That one is awesome call.
I love Danielle Townsend. To me, she excites me as a player because not only because she's a great player now, but I think she's going to develop into one of Australia's best players into the future. And she's got the pedigree of playing for Australia in a different sport. So she brings a whole host of experience, and the thing I love most, she brings this energy and excitement to the court as well. So it's a great pick for Gold Coast Glory, and again, it really sets that foundation for the Glory. 2 really strong females, and you can place a number of players with those guys, and they're going to smash it.
Well, that's the interesting thing, Brendan. 2 females already now, so open slabber.
Look, we probably knew that Danielle was going to go in the first round. For Sarah to pick Danielle, is it surprising? No, not really. As Gordon said, Danielle has really proven herself in the back 6 months of last year to be one of Australia's leading players. What she also brings, as Gordon mentioned, is that table tennis background, and not just any table tennis background, the highest of levels. So she brings a very unique way of playing pickleball that a lot of the other players don't bring. So that catches a lot of players and players that haven't seen her before, which is going to be a lot of the international players off guard. So she's really going to bring that X factor.
I want to throw this to both of you. Of course, we've got the 2 female slots occupied now for the Gold Coast Glory. Who do you think would complement that game so far?
Oh, gosh.
Take it away.
Yeah, where do you start? There's any number of players I'm looking at right here, and you could complement them with a number of international men who would just absolutely smash it with them. But then you look at the regional players that are available as well. I'm not going to predict.
I think it's simple. I think anyone can complement those two girls, because those two girls are formidable.
Elite talents. Easy to mix and match after that. Let's now jump back over to Sanj Carter, our league commissioner, our next draft pick.
With pick number 6, the Asia Aces select from the USA, Wesley Gabrielson.
Well, Big Wes, he's in. Asia Aces. This is a great selection. Obviously, a really strong duper as well, more than 6.1. So it's another player of significant pedigree.
Without a doubt, one of the draft's most experienced players, without a doubt, coming from the USA, playing regularly on tours over there. Had a little bit of a look into his bio before. He's had some great results, a USA Nationals champion multiple times, I believe. Gosh, Australian pickleball, or Asia Pacific pickleball is going to be incredible with these players coming over this year.
As soon as Wes's name was mentioned then, I'm surprised he didn't go earlier, because he's just such a gun and he just brings a wealth of experience, and Australian pickleball and Asia is going to benefit from this draft pick. I cannot wait. I've actually been chatting to Wes on Instagram in the lead up to this event, and he's super excited about coming to the Asia Pacific. He wants to get here, he wants to get involved in the communities, and he wants to play and win this competition. So it's a great pick.
When you spoke to Wes, was there a specific location he was hoping to end up, or was he just willing to go anywhere, basically?
He was coming with as an open book, and his passion for the game and the passion to bring his experience from the US to this region is just palpable. So, hats off to the Asia Aces.
Brendan, we know you've played overseas. How much is picking up the paddle and heading across the ditch? How much experience, and I suppose, how much does that level up your game when you get into one of those situations?
Yeah, look, you learn so much when you travel, experiencing different styles of pickleball as well. I'll be very interested to see, like Wes has played a lot of pickleball in America. It's a very different style throughout Asia and Australia, and I'm sure he'll pick it up very quickly, but I'm very keen to see how that transition works.
Well, of course, we know he's come from overseas, but let's just head a bit north of the border now, up into Queensland. Time for the Northern Crocs to have their selection.
With pick number 7, the Northern Crocs select from residing in Australia, the Netherlands athlete, Rose van Rijk.
Now, I can hear the excitement there in the voice of our league commissioner, Sanj Carter. I know that she has a very good relationship with Rose van Rijk. Dual, in essence, somewhat of a citizen here, both Australia, the Netherlands, a lot of experience there from multiple locations. How do we make of this selection here? Rose van Rijk, it's another strong pick.
Oh, Rose, I adore Rose. She's an amazing player, and again, she burst onto the scene last year. And I remember going to training on a Thursday night, and I was wondering who's this young gun who's just come along to our training session, and she blew it away right from the word go. And she's won Queensland titles. She's really performed well at the Australian Championships, and knocked off some major games that are already, some major players that are already established in Australian pickleball. So I think this is a great pick.
Brendan, we talk about focus as one of the key elements of any successful athlete. If there's one player who epitomises focus, Rose van Rijk.
Look, she definitely brings that to the game and to the team and to the court and everything she does. She is an athlete. She's played high-level tennis before, so anyone that's travelled and played sport, professionally or even semi-professionally, definitely brings a different attitude to not just what happens on the court, but off the court as well. Rose is also an all-rounder. She's not just limited to doubles or mixed doubles. She brings a very solid singles game as well. And these are the players, like looking through these, the names that have gone so far, they're definitely all-rounders. We're not seeing players that are one-dimensional at all out here. And Rose is also one of the nicest players that you could ever come across. I didn't know where Summer was going to go. I'm not sure if anyone else had insights or knowledge, but it was a bit of a wild card, this 7th pick. I had no idea, male, female, where she was going to go.
Well, talk about Rose van Riek, talk about Summer Delabonna. Summertime indeed. Now let's move across to our next selection here. We're heading west. It is the Western Vipers' turn.
With pick number 8, the Western Vipers select from Canada, Casey Rogers.
Well, there we go. Our first Canadian player drafted into the Major League Pickleball Australia 2024 season. Casey Rogers, international experience. We know how important that can be when it comes to, I suppose, bringing something a little bit different down under.
Absolutely, and we can now call Casey a Canozzi. So, well done to the Western team. This is a great pick. You know, Casey comes highly credentialed. She's the number 1 female player in Canada. You can't get any higher in Canada, and we know Canada is a very strong North American playing pickleball nation. So I think it's a great pick by Andy and a nice strategic move.
Look, I tend to agree. The one thing I want to just stir up the pot a little bit here with, though, Brendan Lee, is we talk about acclimatising as an athlete, and this is the big one. You come from a place which is quite cold, Canada, into one of the warmest places you can find, the northern tropics of Queensland.
The Western Vipers.
Perth.
Sorry, the Western Vipers. Sorry,
It's still hot there.
It's going to be hotter,
Kimberley.
I think.
Got my bearings wrong here.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not a strong geography man, but yes, the Western Vipers, very warm out there. Nullarbor Plain. We're talking about the Kimberley, the Pilbara. It's another very hot location, though.
Without a doubt. And Casey, definitely bring your sunscreen from Canada. If you haven't got it packed already, I suggest packing it because you are going to need it in Perth. It's not just the weather, the pickleball is getting hot over there as well. And I'm sure you're going to spend a lot of time on the court with Andy before the first event here. And definitely keen to see what Casey can bring to the mix here in Australia, because to be honest, I haven't seen much of Casey yet, but I'm excited to see any of these international players make their way to Australian shores and show us what they've got.
And look, we may not have seen too much of a highlights reel, so to speak, but the resume speaks for itself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is a really clever move from Andy. You know, the thing I love about Andy is he's a young player, but he's got a great head on his shoulders. And I think he himself will be a great future player for Australia. And I think to get Casey onto the team with her experience, he's going to learn a lot. And it's also going to balance the team perfectly. So I think it's a great pick from Andy.
Well, let's just recap some of the selections so far. So it all began with the Southeast surge, Lucas Pascoe going there. The Melbourne Mavericks picking up Damien Spizzo. Eastern Rush, Joey Wild. For the Sydney Smash, Amelia Schmidt. Gold Coast Glory, Danielle Townsend. The Asia Aces, Wesley Gabrielson. Northern Crocs, Rose van Riek. And of course, we've just seen the Western Vipers snap up Casey Rogers. Let's now head across another fast selection here for the Fast Fours.
With pick number 9, the Fast Fours select from Australia, Michaela Hyatt.
Gentlemen, based on that reaction, I feel there's a lot at play here, a lot at stake. Let's start with you, Brendan. Michaela Hyatt.
Well, for anyone that follows George on Instagram, you'd know that he has this spreadsheet that he's been running through, and he's probably the most analytical captain we've seen to date in MLP Australia 2024. And he's obviously put a lot of thought into this choice. He's obviously, he knows Michaela quite well. They both have the background as tennis players. They've both played pickleball together for the last 6 months. Michaela's been one of Australia's leading singles players without a doubt in 2023. She's won a lot of titles in 2023, a lot of PPL events, New South Wales Open as well. So she's won a lot of titles. She does have a bit to go in her doubles game. She's still working on the front end of that court, but without a doubt, with George as captain, I think they can they can develop that game and prove themselves as a quality pair.
Now, we know each player has their own individual traits, characteristics, skills, and things such as height or power or movement around the court. What is it specifically that we can say Michaela's got this in abundance?
Michaela has got grunt in abundance. Like, she is a great attacking player and she never gives up. So, you know, like, 2 qualities that you would want in a player, especially if you're in a dream breaker situation where she's a singles player, a singles almost specialist, she's gonna cause a lot of headaches for a lot of teams.
Well, just 3 more spots remaining for our first round of draft picks. It's now time to head across the ditch. We're heading to New Zealand.
With pick number 10, the New Zealand Hustle Select. From New Zealand, USA, Kyle Watnell.
Gentlemen, Kyle Watnell, this is another player with a whole lot of pedigree, a duper of 5.982. It's a very high one once more. We've seen them all floating around this 6-point mark. It's just shades of difference in terms of those ranking points. But let's go beyond rankings. What does Kyle bring to the table?
Well, once again, another US player that's honed their skills over in the US, played plenty on the tours over there, whether it be PPA or APP events. So that knowledge, that insight into US pickleball, we've seen it with Joey, who's come back from US this year. Kyle's going to do the same thing, come into Asia Pacific play events, bring that knowledge, bring the skills that they've developed over there to really cause havoc in the Asia Pacific.
And Gordon, we talk about, I suppose, a lot of that experience that you get from playing against some of the most elite pickleball players in the world over in the US. How does that shape a player like Kyle?
Well, he's the Kiwi boy coming home, basically, and he's got an incredible record from the US, and he'll bring those skills. But the thing I love about Waddy, that's his Instagram, he seems like he's a fun character off court as well, which I think is going to be a great add to the team dynamic. So he's into comedy sports, and he's also been a football player as well. So he's very well versed in sport. He knows what it's like to compete. I think he's going to be tough for opponents to handle, and he's obviously got the skills on the pickleball court to boot. So amazing choice.
I want to break that down a little bit, one specific spot. What is comedy sport? What is comedy sport?
Could be what we're doing now.
I wish I was that funny, but I don't think I am.
Well, we can find out exactly how funny the man is himself. We've got Kyle Watnell with us now. Kyle, congratulations on your selection here. How are we feeling? Are we happy?
Matt Carter, New Zealand captain.
Oh, sorry, it's Matt Carter, the New Zealand captain. Matt, thank you for joining us here today for the pickleball draft. Take me through your selection process there in deciding to go with Kyle.
I'm absolutely stoked he's still available. He's got a wealth of experience, a wealth of talent, and to bring him home and pair up with him, I'm absolutely stoked. So.
And how do you think the two of you will work together on court? Is it a case of very similar playing style, or is it a bit of a contrast?
Look, we'll get into some training and figure that out, but we just do whatever it takes to win as a team, and I'm looking forward to it.
And Kyle, obviously he is a player that comes with plenty of experience in the US. You're going to have to show him the ropes in New Zealand. What do you think you can, I suppose, demonstrate to him in terms of that? Because Gordon's spoken, for example, about culture, a big thing that he potentially brings to the team. What can you impart on him in terms of New Zealand culture to try and get him a little bit more accustomed to being in his new home?
Yeah, look, he's a Kiwi himself, so I don't think I have to do too much. I'll be learning a lot from him, and I'm just super excited about the opportunity to pair up. So, I think it'll be a very mutual partnership there.
Yeah, terrific. Well, great to have you here with us this evening. All the best of luck for the Major League Pickleball Australia season in 2024. Well, there is Matt Carter there. Thank you very much to Matt. Let's now throw it over once again to Sanj Carter. We're still in New Zealand. Time for the Southern Stars.
With pick number 11, the Southern Stars select from Taiwan, Yu Chi Shea.
Well, Brendan, I know you've got a bit of experience right here. Yu Chi Shea, what can you tell us?
Look, Shay, I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of years ago in India. I am so happy to see her actually go in this first round, and she definitely deserves to. Could have even gone higher. Jay is very familiar with Shay, so I'm not surprised at this selection at all. Shay brings a very unique style to pickleball. She's currently on the WTA tour in tennis. She plays doubles a lot on the tour. She's still very highly ranked there. She brings a double-handed style to the pickleball world, something very unique, something I definitely haven't seen before, and she'll definitely unload some of those heavy ground strokes or heavy drives from the tennis world onto this pickleball court. She's been playing a few pickleball tournaments throughout Asia. She's played once or twice in the States, and it's great to see her selected in this draft.
Now, Gordon, from what I understand, it's not just the two-handed backhand, it's often both hands. She's occasionally grabbing with the two. Forehand and backhand.
to me, that's mind-blowing. But it obviously works for her, and she obviously generates a lot of power from the two-handed backhand and the two-handed forehand. So, and you know, again, Taiwan is such a strong pickleball nation, and there's other players in the draft as well, and they're all competing at such a high level. So I think this is a really great pick for the southern team, and yeah, amazing.
Well, we should have a very good derby as well, emerging between New Zealand Hustle and the Southern Stars. Both great first picks here as well. We've only got one more available to us in round one of the draft. The final pick, of course, comes from the Brisbane Breakers.
With pick number 12, the Brisbane Breakers select from Australia, Wesley Vine.
Well, we were talking in the green room before about we had to make sure we got the two Weses right. Now they're both on the table, first round of the draft. And Wesley Vine, good decision here. I believe that his brother is also potentially up for grabs too, is that correct?
Yes, look, both the Vine brothers, one of Australia's most formidable doubles pairs, are up for grabs. One of them has now been taken. Both of the Weses are off the board. For Brisbane Breakers, Lou Shaki, she's had a lot of experience playing with Wes Vine in mixed doubles tournaments throughout 2023. They've performed reasonably well together. They live very close by each other as well. So I think a really good pick for the Breakers to also develop some team chemistry and do a lot of training together as well in the southeast corner of Queensland.
Brendan, interesting you mentioned Lou Shaki there, of course, a player that was previously on the tennis professional circuit. What kind of knowledge could she impart from, I suppose, playing at that ultimate level in one of the biggest sports in the world and now forming into pickleball?
Well, we're seeing many of these players that have actually gone in the first round here of the draft, or the captains actually have come from higher level tennis backgrounds. And Lou obviously is another one of those. She, as I said, the athleticism, the knowledge on how to prepare before matches, what to do on the court, what you do after matches, what you do, on any given day of the week. These athletes are bred a little bit differently, and it's good to see this type of athlete coming into the world of pickleball is only going to fast-track the development of pickleball in Asia Pacific.
Gordon, one of the Vines has been whipped away. Now we've still got Tim floating about there. Is Wes still just as dangerous without his brother in a team?
Well, the thing that excites me here is because Lou has the last pick in this first round. She's now got the first pick in the second round. It'll be interesting to see if she does do the double pickup, get both Vine brothers. So that's sitting in the back of my head, and because that could bring, like you were talking about before, they've all played together. They've got incredible synergy. They've had incredible success. So, and they have that ability to train together. So. And Wes is a gun. You can't talk highly enough of Wes. What hasn't he won in Australia in the last 2 years? It's just phenomenal, the success that he's had. I think it's a great pick by Lou, and again, a really nice strategic pick. So, yeah, watch.
Yeah, the skills that he brings, he's kind of a very unique Australian player as well, Gordon. When you watch him play, at the front of the court, so much dinking, so much patience, and we haven't generally seen that over the last 2 years in Australian pickleball, but that's where Wes has really found his place, and alongside his brother Trav. What's the chances that Trav goes next? What are we thinking?
Oh,
More than 50%?
Well, it's funny because one of the most endearing memories I have of Wes playing was actually against you, Brendan, at Slam Jam. And I think the rally went for it was a doubles match, men's doubles, and it was over 100 strokes, 140 maybe. And it was just this epic battle, and it was a battle of endurance, that one point. So, it speaks volumes of Wes. He's like a tiger. He will not give up.
Well, there we go. That wraps up our first round pick of the draft. 12 players off the board, 24 spots remaining. Will the two Vines come together? We'll have to find out in just a moment. We'll take a break here on our Major League Pickleball Australia draft for 2024. Welcome back to the 2024 Major League Pickleball Australia Draft. What an incredible first round of selections. 12 spots are gone. We still have 24 up for grabs. All of our captains locked in as well across our 12 teams. James Preston with you alongside Gordon Watson and Brendan Lee. Gentlemen, just before we hop into round two, let's just deconstruct that a little bit. An incredible first round of selections. Brendan, who surprised you?
Look, some great players selected, 12 really high quality players. Probably the one that stands out for me is George selecting Michaela. I didn't see that coming at all. They've obviously connected, formed a partnership. They know what they're doing. He's got it under control. I don't need to second guess what George is doing. I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Gordon, what do you think?
I'm just excited. Like, I'm literally dribbling at what's just happened because you know, there's some great players there. I'm so happy for Rose Van Rieck, amazing player, and Danny and Amelia, you know, top players. But, you know, Lucas takes it for me. #1 draft pick in the, you know, MLP Australia, Asia Pacific region. I think speaks volumes about Lucas and where he's heading into the future.
Yeah, still very young. And Gordon, I'm going to help you out with that dribble as well. Hitting it off the side of the lips there. But let's take a look at how the second round of drafting is going to work. So, of course, the order is now reversed. So the Brisbane Breakers will get the first selection here in round two. And, of course, thereafter, the Southern Stars, we then stay across in New Zealand for the New Zealand Hustle, the Fast Fours, Western Vipers, Northern Crocs, Asia Aces, then, of course, the Gold Coast Glory, Sydney Smash, Eastern Rush, the Melbourne Mavericks, and then really turning things on its head, our first selection in round one, Southeast Asia Surge, will pick last. Let's get back on with things now. We'll crack on with Sanj Carter, our league commissioner, the first pick of round two.
With pick number 13, the Brisbane Breakers select from Australia, Travis Vine.
There you go, Gordon. You predicted it. You said we're going to have Wes, we're going to have Travis. The Vine boys are back together. There it is, the dream combination.
Well, it's like bringing the band back together. It's a deadly combination that works. It's proven, and you've got the Vine brothers, who are like the first family of Australian pickleball, and then you combine it with Lou, who's going to be the female. I'm busting to see who she's going to pick as her complementary female, and wow, what a foundation she's laid.
You're 100% right. We've now got 3/4 of the team. It goes along very quickly. We're almost there already. But the two Vine boys in there, plus Lou, this is a really strong team, Brendan.
Yeah, undoubtedly it is. And what's important here is Travis Vine's health. We know he's had an injury-plagued 2 years where we haven't seen him play a lot, but when he has played, he's played alongside Wes generally, and they have won. So a healthy Trav Vine here is important, and fingers crossed. Before he got injured a couple of years ago on the pickleball court, he was undoubtedly Australia's best player at the time. And it's so great to see him drafted here. This is a real, you know, this is kind of one of those emotional tearjerkers. I like to see him go through what he's been through and now be on the court here and drafted in the Brisbane Breakers is really exciting.
Oh, it's brilliant. He's an amazing athlete, and he's just got this presence on court. He's like an albatross as well. Just when he's at the kitchen line, it instills fear into the opposition. He's amazing. Brisbane could well go back to back.
Well, Brendan, you mentioned there some of the injuries that Travis has had to deal with. For those who aren't 100% familiar and across this, can you just detail that for our viewers out there?
Look, I believe it wasn't his ACL, but it was a knee injury that kept him out for most of 2022 and parts of 2023. So it's been a long road to recovery for Travis, where he was winning title after title with Wes on the mixed court and on the singles court. And then he got injured. As soon as he came back, though, the first time event they played together, Wes and Trav, they won.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. Class is permanent, form temporary, and we certainly know that Travis is a very classy player. So the two Vines back together again. Let's continue with our 14th pick.
With pick number 14, the Southern Stars select from Hawaii, Zhao Wangbekwo.
So Zhao Wangbekwo, how do we think about that, Brendan Lee? Another Hawaiian pick.
Well, an international pick for the Southern Stars and Jay Grewell. So it's really exciting to see these players coming in, players that we haven't seen in Australia at all yet. So it's going to be great for Australian pickleball to obviously have these players come to our shores. What she brings, I have no idea. I have not seen this player play, so I'm really excited to see what her skills are on the court and how she can really immerse herself in the Australian pickleball landscape and the Asia-Pacific pickleball landscape, more importantly, in 2024.
And Gordon, I think that speaks volumes as well to the breadth and the scope of the draft that we've got out our hands here. So 152 players in total, about 51 of those in the female pool, more than 100 in the men's. And that was whittled down from initially an application process of about 300. So there's a lot of grey area here.
Oh, look, and Zhao Yi Wang Beckwell, she comes highly credentialed, and the exciting thing is she's relocating from Hawaii to play here in the Asia Pacific, in the MPL. So she is absolutely dedicated to coming here, and she's absolutely dedicated to the team that she's been drafted to. And I cannot wait. You know, these high calibre players coming to not only to play in the MPL but to play in New Zealand is incredible. It's great for the game. I'm just super excited because I'm down to go to Auckland. So I want to see this.
And Brendan, we spoke previously about focus as being one of the key attributes. Gordon just mentioned there the dedication, but let's talk about the commitment here. It's a massive decision to completely uproot your life and then set foot now for the Southern Stars.
Well, that's how big this opportunity is, isn't it? We're not talking, just coming here to play some low-level pickleball. You are going to be playing Major League Pickleball Australia and beyond into Asia Pacific. So it's a huge opportunity and one I hope she grabs the bull by the horns with essentially and runs with it.
Yeah, wonderful. And a nice little illusion there as well. I'm back in Spain. Thank you very much. But let's roll on now with the Major League Pickleball Australia draft for 2024. Pick number 15.
With pick number 15, the New Zealand Hustle Select from the Philippines, Anna Clarice Patrimonio.
So Anna Clarice has a home here in New Zealand, and I think that'll be quite a nice little fit coming from the Philippines. It's, I would say, in some ways quite a similar culture.
And again, from a really strong pickleball nation. The Philippines are incredible, and there's some more Philippine players on this list that I know personally who are just gun players, and I just can't wait to see what happens there. But in terms of this selection, it's a great selection. It's another strong female selection, and I think it's a very smart selection.
Now, one more spot up for grabs here as well for the New Zealand Hustle. This is the international quota taken up. How are we thinking things are going to play out from here?
Yeah, and looking at it, this team for the New Zealand Hustle, Matt Carter, hasn't chosen players that he's actually played with before. So inexperienced teams where they're going to have to really try and capture some form and capture some chemistry quite quickly out here on the pickleball court, because the season is just around the corner, let's be honest. So they've got about 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get to know each other here. So getting into New Zealand, hopefully relatively quickly these players can, so they can actually start to get on the practice court together and really start to not just form chemistry, but also some tactics and understand each other's playing styles, communication styles and the likes.
It's a great point you raised that Captain Matt Carter hasn't actually played with the players he's selected so far, but very interesting choices from him too, because of course Kyle has spent time overseas, actually counts as the regional quota despite all that experience in the US.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we as we said before, Kyle's going to bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to pass on to Matt and the whole team from what he has learnt in the States. I'm very keen to see Matt's pick. Obviously, it's a female he's going to pick next. Very keen to see who that's going to be.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. Let's just recap our round 2 selections so far for the Brisbane Breakers. Travis Vine, now becoming once again whole with the family. So he and Wes are back together. Also from Hawaii, Chow is in there too for the Southern Stars, and now for the Philippines, Anna Clarice. So look, those are our first 3 selections here in round 2. There's still a lot of talent up for grabs though, Gordon.
Oh, there's still mind-boggling talent on this list, and I just cannot wait to see how it unravels, because there's players on this list that I'm hoping will get drafted because they're going to bring a new dimension to the MPL. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I cannot wait to see
I need
what
to
happens.
fan you down a little bit. I can feel it's permeating from you. But let's continue now for our 16th selection. It's fast fours times 4, if you will. 16.
With pick number 16, the Fast Fours select from Australia, Talia Saunders.
Wow. This is very interesting.
Brendan Lee, I'm sure we all heard that pop through the microphone just then. It's very interesting for Talia Saunders. Take me through why you think that.
Talia is definitely one of the best in Australia, undeniably. George he's blown my mind. Like, I didn't know what to expect from George. Did I expect 2 picks that aren't based in Queensland? Probably not. I thought he may have chosen some Southeast Queenslanders because there's plenty of talent up there to obviously partner with. Talia's a great pick. You know, she's had a great year last year on the women's doubles court with Leona Quinn, winning multiple titles, Australian Nationals runners-up. She's also had great success on the mixed doubles court, winning Queensland championships with Wes Vine, playing a lot of tournaments with Taylor Smith, having, great partners all around and getting some great results. Once this draft is out of the way, I'm very keen to sit down with George Wall and get an understanding of what he was thinking, because I want to pick that guy's brain.
Gordon, do you agree? Is this a somewhat surprising selection?
I had Talia probably down as being selected, maybe not this early, and maybe not with George, but George is a very strategic player and a very strategic captain, and I'm sure he knows exactly what he's doing. And Talia is one of those players. I remember seeing her for the first time, and she played Sarah Burr, and she almost beat her. And from that moment, she stuck with me as a player of the future, and coming from a badminton background as well. So I think George can see something in Talia. I think he can see where she's heading, and I think he's going to try and tap into that.
Brendan, you mentioned that George is one of the great analysts of the game. What would have been potentially the criteria he'd be looking for in this selection?
That's a great question. And I think the biggest factor here is Talia is going to complement Michaela really well. They both bring a very different variety of shot selection on the court. Michaela plays quite fast. Talia can play quite slow. She's got great soft hands, great feel around the court. Looking at it now, I do think these two girls will complement each other really nice. A first-time pairing from them. We'll see how it plays out.
The Western Vipers, their first selection was Casey Rogers. Let's now see who they pick in round 2.
With pick number 17, the Western Vipers pick from the Philippines, Sarah Jane Lim.
So Sarah Jane Lim to the Western Vipers. Now, there's probably another player we don't know a great deal about. We might have seen a little bit of her here and there, but once again, Gordon, bit of an unknown in the grand scheme of things.
Maybe slightly unknown to Australian pickleball players, but I'm sure she's well known to pickleball around the world. So Sarah Jane, she's another amazing Filipino athlete, just from an amazing cohort of players that they have over there. So I think this is a great selection. She excels in every format of the game. So she's only had a handful of losses across a number of tournaments across Asia last year. So I think it's a great selection by Andy, and got to hand it to him. I think it's a great selection.
Brendan, Western Vipers, they've now taken up their 2 female slots. Do you like the combination?
Yeah, once again, a young captain in Andy, and a lot of our captains are quite young, making big decisions at the end of the day. He's gone 2 players from outside of Australia to start off with. It's a little bit interesting, but it's not unreasonable because he's bringing 2 very talented players without a doubt onto that team. Will his 4th pick be a male Australian player? I think so. I think undoubtedly it will be. And it'll be very interesting to see who that is, though, who's going to be left in that last pick.
I've got to pick the brain for a moment. Who do you think it might be based on the structure of the team so far?
Look, I think it's going to be important for whoever it is, maybe they're based close to him so he can have regular training partners. And maybe that's even Casey. Maybe Sarah does make the move over there. But I think it's going to be wise for him to pick someone that's maybe going to base themselves in that same city, most likely Perth, as Andy.
Well, we quite literally have arrived at the halfway point. It's time for draft pick number 18.
With pick number 18, the Northern Crocs select from Taiwan, Nielsen Chen.
And we talk about a player with pedigree. Well, here is one if we ever needed to look at that name. Nielsen Chen, part of the Asian region, out of Taiwan. Gordon, I know that you're a little bit excited about this one.
Oh, I love the Taiwanese players. That they're just incredibly talented athletes, and whatever program they have going in Taiwan is really creating this amazing cohort of players, and they're not only taking on the likes of our MLP here in Australia, they're going internationally as well. And Nielsen, it's like he's like a wasp on court, and you don't know you're stung until it's too late. He's just a freak on the court, and he again has only lost a handful of matches last year. So, a great pick.
Brendan, Gordon's saying that Nielsen's a bit of a wasp. Does anyone have an allergy, do you reckon?
Look, by the sounds of things, multiple people may have allergies, because if Gordon's right and he is going to bring such a exciting, aggressive, quick style to the pickleball scene, he's undoubtedly going to get some scalps, and a lot of these players probably haven't seen him play. So he once again brings that unknown factor, and players that bring that unknown factor, as I said before, they get really good results early on, but you have to keep adapting as the events go on, because everyone learns your little tricks and you have to show them new tricks in future events. I think Nielsen will do that. I'm really excited to see how he fits in with Rose and Summer. I'm sure he'll be a good fit for their team, and very keen to see who Summer picks to complement him as the men's doubles partner.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Of course, the two female spots occupy now, Nielsen Chen in there as well. Is it likely that we have someone perhaps with a completely different skill set, different style of play to join this, or would you be thinking it's probably going to be more along the same lines of Summer and Rose, for example?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where Summer goes with her final pick. Like, she's building a very strong attacking team, and I think she's going to need a player that's got a really strong all-round game. Who she looks to deliver that for the team, or whether she takes a different strategy completely, is going to be fascinating to me.
Well, we hope you're enjoying all the coverage here for the Major League Pickleball Australia 2024 draft. We're now officially into the second half of the program. Let's begin with pick number 19.
With pick number 19, the Asia Aces select from Singapore, Penny Lee.
Wow.
I think we're both happy about that one, Gords.
Yeah.
Look, I'll let you two battle it out of who wants first rights here, but our first Singaporean player selected so far, Brendan.
Look, Gordon and I both know Penny very well. We've both travelled throughout Asia, and we've both had the opportunity to play with Penny, commentate Penny's matches, and get to know Penny off the court. And she's one of the loveliest people on and off the court. She is a veteran of the game, so I shouldn't probably call her the veteran. We don't like to. She probably might not like to be referred to that. But what that brings is knowledge, and it brings a level head. And she brings that to this team. And look, Penny will complement the Asia Aces team very well, both what's happening on the court with the physicality of the matches, but also keeping this team tactically aware and also keeping their emotions in check as well.
And Gordon, how do you think Penny is going to combine with Wesley, for example?
It's funny, I was just thinking, I wonder what combinations they're going to try at the Asia Aces. Like you, Brendan, Penny Lee is an amazing player, and she's so solid, and her defence is just incredible. Like, every ball comes back. It's just unbelievable. And she brings an amazing experience, and like Brendan said, she's going to be a great ambassador off the court as well. She's the most lovely person on and off the court, and yeah, it's a great pick.
And Brendan, you talked about experience there. I don't want to get you in more trouble potentially with an Instagram message after we're finished here, but that guiding hand, it can be really important, especially when times get tough.
Yeah, well, looking at this team with Penny and Wes, two people that have had years of experience in this game. So the knowledge on this team is second to none. Like, they're probably the most experienced team so far out of what we've seen starting to mesh together here.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking before about good combinations. Penny Lee just has that all-round game, so she's going to complement anyone who's selected in that team.
It's a very smart selection. Let's see if the Gold Coast Glory can bring a glorious selection for themselves. It's pick number 20.
With pick number 20, the Gold Coast Glory select from Australia, Alex Fairbanks.
Well, a very fair selection there. Alex Fairbanks is in for the Gold Coast Glory. Do we think that'll bring not only glory but victory?
Well, Alex Fairbanks is one of the tallest players in the Australian pickleball scene. He's also only had probably a little bit of experience in comparison to some of these other players like Pinney or Wes that have obviously in the Asia Aces team. But his upside is aplenty. He's only 6 months probably roughly onto the pickleball scene in Australia, but he's already got some major scalps on the scene, especially on the singles court. He's still developing his doubles game. He is located down in Sydney with Mitch Hargraves. I know they train together a lot down there. So undoubtedly that skill level of that full court knowledge is definitely coming to fruition for him down there. And he's, developing a whole court game. So very excited to see what Alex can deliver in 2024. A little bit of a surprising pick, but not really surprising.
Brendan, I was going to say that, Gordon, just before we come to you. I mean, you mentioned there the Sydney Smash and that combination with Mitch Hargraves. Do you think he'd be a little bit upset that Alex has already gone?
Look, I definitely think Mitch may have been looking for Alex. They obviously trained together, played together. They played 2023 MLP together as well. So I think if, maybe Mitch he's in the next pick, I think. So maybe he was looking for that. Maybe he might have gone later to Mitch. Sarah's got him.
Yeah, that is the case. Gordon, what do you make of that selection?
I think it's a great selection, and I can see it'll be interesting to see who Sarah chooses next. But I can already see some great combinations happening for the Glory there, whether it's Danny or Sarah herself playing with Alex Fairbanks. I think you've already got a strong mixed doubles duo, regardless of who he plays with, because he's got the wingspan. I know I've used the word albatross before, but what's wider? It's like a Concorde. He's just an amazing athlete.
Yeah. And Danielle and Alex actually have played together once in 2023. They played the Australian Nationals where they actually pushed Mitch and Amelia to 3 games. I think it was 11-8 in the third. Mitch and Amelia took that. So when they played together, they combined very well.
Well, you mentioned Mitch and Amelia. We're going to see exactly what way they steer. Amelia Schmidt already part of the Sydney Smash. Mitch about to have his second round draft selection here. Let's throw it back to Sanj Carter.
With pick 21, the Sydney Smash select from the USA, Philippines, Anna Claire Mayer.
So Anna Claire Mayer, an international selection here for the Sydney Smash. I believe we might even have Mitch Hargraves with us here too. So I'm sure there's going to be some very excited faces amongst the Sydney Smash crew. I can see them there in the background too. So yes, we do have Mitch Hargraves with us now. Mitch, very good evening to you. It's still looking lovely there in Sydney. How are you feeling? Are you happy with the selection so far? For the Sydney Smash, I believe we might even have Mitch Hargraves with us here too. Might be having a few technical issues here with Mitch Hargraves, so we might potentially try and catch up with Mitch a little later on in the piece here. Although I think he might be coming through late here, potentially. We'll just get a final little discussion as we try and sort things out there. Gordon, I'll just get your thoughts on things quickly here. Anna Claire Mayer. I think this is a nice complementary selection alongside Amelia Schmidt as the 2 female spots.
Oh, absolutely. Highly credentialed player based in Hawaii. So how many players have we had from Hawaii tonight? It's like a crazy, place to bring talent from. We need to go to Hawaii, I reckon. But obviously some great players coming out of there. And again, this is a really clever pick from Mitch. And he's now got 2 very, very strong female athletes. I can't wait to see where he goes with his 4th pick, obviously a male pick. And going back to Anne, she's competed against the world's best players at several PA events. So you can't get any stronger than that. So, she's going to bring a lot of value.
Look, I'm with you. I'm happy to go to Hawaii for the July draft, for example. I think that'd be very nice work on the 10. Brendan Lee, you've spent a lot of time with Sydney Smash. How do you think this complements the selection of Amelia Schmidt? Does it work nicely in your opinion?
Look, Mitch has a connection to Hawaii. He actually spends a lot of time over there, I believe. Yep. So I think he was actually over there for the Christmas period. So undoubtedly he did his homework. Perhaps they even caught up and maybe played some pickleball together. And Mitch and Claire actually established some a connection and formed that relationship. Hence why this pick unfolded. So very keen to see what Amelia, Mitch, and Anna Claire can actually do together.
I think we may actually have Mitch back here, so we'll give this one more crack until we take a little break and potentially catch up with him for his final draft pick. Mitch, have you got us there at the moment?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, terrific. We do have you, Mitch. Thank you for joining us here. It's a very exciting Major League Pickleball draft for Australia 2024. Can I ask you about your thought process in selecting the team so far?
Yeah, well, I was just definitely after 2 females first. They're both great players, so I'm super stoked on that. I know my second pick was definitely my most stressful, but now I think it should be smooth sailing from here.
And what do you think they each bring to the table? Is there a complementary style for both the players, or they're a little bit different in your opinion?
A little bit different. Like you guys said, Amelia's a great new player. She comes with a lot of firepower, and then Anna Claire has that experience, and she's also a good player. So I think they'll merge really well, and now I just need to find a mixed partner for Anna Claire.
Yeah, well, Mitch, without giving away your actual selection, is there something you want to tell us about what you're looking for with that final spot?
Yeah, definitely. So my thought process is just trying to pick someone in that third spot who I know can overperform that position, and I definitely think I have that.
I mean, I'm always looking to overperform no matter what I'm doing. Mitch Hargreaves, thank you very much. We might catch up with you in a little bit of time, but best of luck for the rest of the draft, and thanks for joining us here this evening.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
There we go, the captain of Sydney Smash, Mitch Hargreaves. Now, we're getting very deep into proceedings here. Let's continue with our next pick.
With pick 22, the Eastern Rush select. From Australia, Vishal Masand.
Well, V is for victory, V for vendetta, V for Vishal. He can be vicious at times on the court. Is that what we're expecting, Brendan Lee?
Look, a Gold Coast local. So Katie is the captain of the Eastern Rush, picking Vishal. They've got the opportunity to train together. Another lefty, a lefty male. Katie's lefty. She's crafting together, putting together a really nice mix on her team here. Vish is a really experienced player, really burst onto the scene with really good results in 2023. He has the ability to play a variety of styles out there. He can do the quick stuff good. He can do the soft stuff good. Really smart pick here from Katie Hart.
Now, Gordon, you've spent a lot of time playing pickleball. Is it difficult to face off against a lefty?
Well, it can be, and Vish in particular, because he's earned the nickname Vicious. So, and it's mainly because he's just got this stealth-like power that just comes from nowhere. But he's again got that soft game that can set up points beautifully, and then he can just sting you like a bee. It's just, he's a great player. And in fact, I think when you look at the stats from last season, he was one of the best performing players. So I don't know if Katie had a chance to look at that, but I think this is a really smart pick. Vish is really solid. You know, I'm so happy for him because, you know, he's a Gold Coast boy and we've played many games together, and yeah, I'm stoked for Vish.
Gordon, do we need to talk about an insect problem with you? We've got wasp and now bees. Everything seems to be stinging you. Are you okay?
Yeah, maybe there's an ant coming up. I don't know.
It could be an ant. We'll find out. They're very powerful, very quick for their size, of course. If you get them big enough to play on a pickleball court, we could have something quite incredible indeed. But let's move across now to our second last pick of round 2.
With pick number 23, the Melbourne Mavericks select. From Australia, Tina Bianchi.
Tina Bianchi for the Melbourne Mavericks. Brendan, I like the sound of this one.
Look, Aaron, Tina, they go way back, essentially. You know, they've played plenty of mix together. Aaron had to pick a local. He knew that Tina is definitely one of the strongest female players, not just in Victoria, but in Australia. She's had great results over the years, plays a lot alongside of the Coco Lococo as well. So I think, you know, I'm not surprised by this pick. I think this really fits well with Aaron. They'll have a really good partnership. They'll definitely play mixed together. I can't see them not playing mixed together. And congratulations to Tina, you know, on being selected in MLP. It's really exciting for Tina.
And Gordon, Tina could be perhaps a bit of a missing link for this side. Of course, Melbourne Mavericks in the Sydney exhibition, not the finest performance from them. They were probably lacking a little bit of X factor. Could Tina be that person?
Oh, Tina's a powerhouse. There's no doubt about it. You know, the moment Tina burst onto the scene almost 2 years ago, probably 18 months ago, and right from the word go, she was on, and she's really taken pickleball by storm. I highly regard Tina. She's a great player, and I had no idea about her age until very recently. So, amazing player, and yeah, my mouth is watering at Melbourne because they've now, it looks like they're creating not just a team for season one, but maybe something that they can build on into the future. So, and whether they can keep that team together in future, after future drafts, is another thing. But yeah, you got to hand it to Aaron. He's probably thought long and hard about these decisions.
I certainly think he has. I mean, that first round selection of Damien Spizzo really does look to complement things here. We've got one final selection in round two. Brendan, where do you think this one might lead next based on the available players who are still part of this draft?
Toss a coin here. Lucas is so versatile. I think he, in the men's double situation will complement, anyone that Southeast Asia team select here. So really looking forward to, the selection.
Well, let's see who is going to combine with Lucas Pascoe in terms of those selections for the Southeast Asia Surge. It's our last selection for round two, pick number 24.
With pick number 24, the Southeast Asia Surge select from India, Yuvraj Ruia.
The Southeast Asia Surge very much living up to the name, you'd have to say. They've gone roughly in that area once again, geographically.
Look, our first Indian player that's been selected, I believe, and I think maybe we're probably a bit surprised because we know the Indian talent pool and how deep that is, how youthful their players are as well, and how quickly they are improving. Look, a great choice. I'm not surprised here. I'll let Gordon speak a bit more about that pedigree in a second, but I think forming a really strong team here, Lucas, that combination is going to be deadly.
Yeah, and I'm so glad, like you referred to, the Indian players, there's so many great players. Like Brendan's played in Asia and I've played in Asia and had the pleasure of watching these guys play, and it's just incredible. So they're all highly credentialed, and I'm so excited to have an Indian player in the draft, or in the team. It's going to be great for the league. It's going to be great for the team, and I'm actually thinking what their next choice will be. It's going to be a tricky choice. So Pay's got some thinking to do, but she's got two very, very solid male players. So yeah.
Well, for those who haven't seen the style of Indian pickleball, how would you best describe it?
Very athletic, there's no doubt about it, and they're very good all-round players, and they're very good at doubles, they're very strong in mixed, but they're also good in playing singles. So the Indian players bring the whole game, and they come to play to win. So yeah, great choice.
And they've developed so much over the last 18 months. So I think from, the first time Gordon travelled to Asia and saw them, they didn't necessarily have a soft game. It wasn't something that they had developed in India yet. Now they're all court players. So they've really developed a holistic game that can complement a variety of partners as well. So that's going to be really exciting to see, and hopefully some more Indian picks here as the draft goes on. And I think there will be.
We've got one final round to get through, only 12 spots remaining across our 12 teams. The captains will have to debate a lot as to who is selected next. We'll take a quick break here on the Major League Pickleball Australia draft for 2024 and our final 12 picks in just a moment. Welcome back to the Major League Pickleball Australia Draft for 2024. So much incredible action, so many unreal selections so far. I'm James Preston. Alongside me is our official commentator, Gordon Watson and Brendan Lee. Look, this has been unreal so far. There's been some twists and turns, some selections we probably weren't thinking of. As we come into the final round here, anything could happen.
Literally anything could happen, and you look at the way some of the teams have really formed, and we're down to our last picks. It's a very exciting time, James, and I can't wait to see what happens, because there's a few teams here that have laid the foundations. Well, all of the teams have laid their foundations, and they've really got to drive it home with this last pick and complete their team. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the complete teams, so we can start talking about them.
Brendan Lee, how crucial is this last spot? Is it perhaps the most important one, even more so than the first pick?
Well, without a doubt, this really shapes the team. You know, you're only as strong as your last pick, essentially, and there's not a great deal of difference between, let's say, the captains and the fourth pick here. The standard is that good. Some of this team structure that, you know, they've been, some we could have probably played out in our heads that, yes, that's how it could have gone. And some, as you said, it's been a rocky road almost of we didn't really expect that. And, you know, some of these selections, but that's what's making MLP exciting. And that's what makes pickleball exciting as well.
Definitely.
Well, important to note too, we've got such a large array of potential players in the pool. The application process, around 300 different players. Then we've whittled it down to the draft. And we say whittled, but there's 150 to choose from across the 12 teams. So this is how it's all going to work for the final round of the draft itself. So we mix up the order a little bit. So previously we had a drawn lottery order that was in round one. Round two was selected in reverse lottery order. Now for round three, selected by teams in positions 7 to 12, followed by 1 to 6. So that order is the Northern Crocs, Western Vipers, Fast Four, the New Zealand Hustle, Southern Stars and Brisbane Breakers. And then, of course, things flipping on their head, Southeast Asia Surge, Melbourne Mavericks, Eastern Rush, Sydney Smash, the Gold Coast Glory and the Asia Aces. So there's a lot to try and contend with here. We've got players from Australia, from India, across various parts of Asia, New Zealand. Final thoughts before we get into our 25th pick that we're up to now.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what the captains do for us.
Look, 7 males, 5 females, by a quick count here of who is still left. There's still plenty of talent on the board. Plenty of talent, unfortunately, is going to miss out, but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
And a lot of those final selections, of course, will be regional picks. Let's begin round 3 with pick number 25.
With pick 25, the Northern Crocs select from India, Aman Bhatia.
Well, there we go, Gordon Watson. You wanted a few more Indian players, you've got one straight away. First selection of round 3.
And to the Northern Crocs as well. So that's a great choice by Summer. And, you know, like Armin, he comes so highly credentialed. He's a tennis instructor, but he's also a weapon on the pickleball court. And you look at his record over the last 12 months. It's an impeccable record. He's played 74 games and only lost 8. So he's hot. He's a hot player, and he is going to make his mark at the Northern Crocs.
Would you agree? Is he sizzling?
100%. I met Aman in 2022 when I travelled to India, and he's a true gentleman as well. We spoke about Lucas Pascoe being a gentleman. Aman is a gentleman. I'm so pleased for him. I'm pleased for India that he has been selected. He'll blend in well with any team. No matter where he went in this draft, he was going to be make a great contribution to that team. And I actually think he is hot. He actually is going to light the pickleball world up. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people because, once again, a player that maybe they've seen the results but they haven't played against it. It is fast, but is also very skillful. Very happy for him.
Yeah. Brendan, that's a great point too that you mentioned. It's not just the skills on the court, it's about the personality, the character off the court, and having that calm mind as well. I mean, as an instructor, that's one thing we tend to focus on, is that they do have that composure and presence about their play and also off the court.
Absolutely. And, it must just come natural because the Indian players are the male players are such gentlemen off the court. And I'm playing in the Asia Open later in February, and I can't wait to catch up with the guys again because they're just great to be around.
Well, let's continue moving forward now for selection number 26.
With pick 26, the Western Vipers select from Australia, Michael Russ.
Well, from India back to the land down under, Michael is a Western Viper for 2024. Gordon, Michael Russ, what can you tell us?
Well, Michael, he's a local player from WA, and I think Andy, he's obviously seen the importance of having that local, the local training and being able to grow as a team. So I think this is a smart selection from Andy, and because he's already got some great players in Casey Rogers and Sarah Jane. This is a great complement to the team, and don't forget, Andy's a weapon himself. So I think Michael brings that stability and it rounds the team off nicely.
Yeah, we talk about a nicely rounded team, of course. Now we get the full picture with this selection here. One thing we spoke about from their first pick, Casey Rogers, was that acclimatisation coming from Canada now to Western Australia. Very warm there. Certainly, Michael won't have any issues with that.
No, he is a Perth local, as Gordon said, and Andy had to go that local pick. And it's good to see that Michael has that opportunity, being a West Australian himself, to play for the Western Vipers in their first year as a team. It's a real honour and it's a real privilege. And I think he'll really grasp that and he will do really well in this position with Andy. They have the opportunity to play together. I know they're partnering up at the upcoming Western Australian Championships as well. Undoubtedly, we're going to see them partner up a lot during this first 6 months. They'll train together. They understand each other's game really well. And look, we'll see what they can do on the men's doubles court.
And Gordon, now that we have the full squad assembled, would you be pleased if you're the captain of the Western Vipers?
I'd be pretty stoked actually, because he's got two excellent female players, and Andy's a gun himself, and he really backs himself, and I think that's really important when it comes to the team dynamic. And even though he's a young guy, he's going to bring so much experience and just a calmness to the team, but a knowledge that he brings from tennis as well. So I think the Western Vipers could cause a few headaches this season.
Yeah, I certainly think that might be the case. Now, I can't believe it. We're getting to that pointy end of the draft pick. Just 10 spots remain. We're nearly into single digits. And I'll tell you what, I think there's still some really high calibre players remaining. Obviously, there's a lot of regional selections that still need to be made as well, Brendan Lee.
There certainly is, and with 10 spots left, there's another 100 players on the card here that could have been selected. So that's really exciting for pickleball. Some big names, national champions, PPL champions, former MLP champions in Australia that haven't been selected yet. Let's see if they get a run in the next 10 picks here. Just going back to Northern Crocs, that's one to mention. We said that she has a really fast team with those first couple of picks. Aman didn't slow that down any, so a really aggressive team that Summer has put together there.
Yeah, up-tempo stuff. All right, let's continue now. Selection time once more.
With pick 27, the Fast Four select from Australia, Barry Oliver Gray.
Great to see.
Well, tell you what, it might not be grey. I think it's all rosy. That's a quality pick there for Barry Oliver Gray, making his way to Fast Fours. Michaela Hayard already there, Talia Saunders too. the squad complete, it looks very balanced.
Look, without a doubt, a young selection there. You know, we've seen Ollie develop and grow from the young boy from Yeppoon to now being based on the Gold Coast, where he's moved to. His whole family have moved to develop his pickleball skills. So this is a really great opportunity for Ollie. George and Ollie did play together last year at a couple of tournaments. They did have some success on the court as well. I believe they made some finals where they really pushed the Vine brothers in the final at a tournament on the Sunshine Coast. So when they play together, they get some good results. His ceiling is, he's got so much where he can still develop and grow. And I think you can't just pick a player off where they have been or where they are now. George is looking into the future, into the next 6 months.
Well, speaking of where someone is now, you also mentioned Yeppoon. I know, Gordon, you're currently calling Yeppoon home. Look, a great part of the world, obviously, and it's a very rich sporting area too, where a lot of great players across various codes come through. Obviously, Barry Oliver Gray, one of them here for pickleball.
Well, absolutely. Like Yeppoon have 14 purpose-built courts, and it's just it's starting to create some great talent. And Barry Oliver Gray is one of those. And what I think's happened here is I think that Ollie brings so much potential to the team. You know, like if you can think of him as a Ferrari, he's in third gear right now, and in this next season, I wouldn't be surprised if George can shift him up to third or fourth, fifth gear and just take this competition by storm. It's a great pick.
And
very
just
excited.
There, a really good mixed doubles pick as well. No matter which female he's played alongside in 2023, he's had good results. Definitely a really competent mixed player.
And so happy for the family. Just stoked.
Well, look, Ferraris have a lot of talk, and I think there'll be more walk than talk here from Barry Oliver Gray. So we can't wait to see how he complements things. Let's roll on to pick number 28.
With pick 28, the New Zealand Hustle Select from New Zealand/USA, Lexi Contrato.
Well, there we go. So it's a bit of an international flavour here, of course. They've already selected from the Philippines. This one will count as a New Zealand slot here, despite that mixture of New Zealand and USA for Lexi Contrato. But I quite like it.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, the captains, they haven't just tossed a coin over the last 3 weeks as these names have been coming through. They've put a lot of thought and had the conversations, you know, whether on the phone or via social media with these players, done their research. Matt knows what he is doing. He's constructed a team here of players that we haven't seen in Australia yet. So that'll be interesting as well, you know, with 4 events in Australia. Sorry, I think it's approximately 4 events in Australia. Keen to see how those guys acclimatised to the conditions down here.
Now, Brendan, you're 100% right. We've got 6 events, of course, one taking place in Auckland, another one in Asia as well to come. So I think the interesting thing with this team here, the New Zealand Hustle, is we've got 2 players here who have played in the US already. Kyle's in there as well.
Oh, you look at this team on paper and anything could happen. You've got Kyle, you've got Anna, you've got Lexi, and it's just a wealth of talent. And it's an incredible team that he's assembled, and like Brendan says, it's going to be something Australian players haven't seen before. So if any of these teams can take a team by surprise, it's this team. So yeah, very exciting, very, very exciting.
Well, look, if there's one thing we haven't actually touched on so far in the broadcast here for the Major League Pickleball Australia draft for 2024, it's Dream Breakers. Now, I want to break that down a little bit here. Let's talk about the most recent selection, Lexi Contrato. If she's put in that dream breaker situation, how do you think that plays out?
Well, I think she's one of those players that's well credentialed in doubles, but also singles. So if it comes to the dream breaker, not only is she going to be strong, Kyle, Anna, you know, and Matt, he's an incredible singles player. So if it gets that far, if this team hasn't wiped another team off the court by the dream breaker, they'll smash it. Yeah, watch this space.
Well, Captain Carter certainly doing a good job there. Let's stay in New Zealand, though. Now it's time for the selection from the Southern Stars.
With pick 29, the Southern Stars select from New Zealand, Connor Robertshaw.
Gordon, I've got to come to you there because whenever I hear one of those very joyous sighs come out of that mouth of yours, then I need to let you have the first little analysis here. But Connor Roberts-Shaw, another local boy, of course, that fills the regional quota as part of the Southern Stars. But once more, it's another smart selection.
And it's a great selection. You know, regional, international or whatever, Connor brings, like I met Connor at a training session on the Gold Coast in the lead up to the Queensland Championships, and even back then, that was like 6 months ago, he took that tournament by storm, and I think they ended up with a silver medal. Which is no mean feat. And I think the gold medalists were Travis and Wes, maybe. So, like, there's, you know, that gives you an idea of just how well credentialed Connor is. And it's a bit like Ollie. I think Connor's got a few more gears that he can lift. And I think that's what Captain Carter, the captain's tapping into and really going to elevate the team. And
Brendan, Connor's a player as well who's still reasonably young. He's still got that upside about him.
He certainly is, and as Gordon said, we saw the New Zealand team, or the New Zealand contingency, come over to Australia for the Queensland Championships last year, where he did medal in 2 events, in both the men's doubles and the singles event. And you might remember, Gordon, back at that event, he actually beat George Wall in the second round of the double elimination draw there at the Queensland Champs. So he'll have the opportunity to train with Jay, obviously, quite a bit in New Zealand. I think on paper, that team is looking quite good right now.
Yeah, I think we can say most sides are looking very, very complete at this point in time. Let's try and complete the Brisbane Breakers, though, because they have selection number 30. I think they've already built an extremely strong side. If you could just put one final puzzle piece together, where do you think it would come from?
Oh, gosh. I wish I could read Lou's mind on this one, because I think she's obviously building that team that's got the local flavour, but also a tried and true and tested combination. So there's a few names on that list that she could go with, and I don't want to put myself in that position, so I don't know how the captains are doing it, to be honest.
I think an international female is going to go right now.
Well, let's see exactly what pans out. Let's throw it back to our lead commissioner, Sanj Carter, selection number 30.
With pick number 30, the Brisbane Breakers select from India, Isha Lakhani.
Now, this one was a name that both of you were discussing heavily before we came on air this evening. It was Isha. It was almost like you two were stuck on repeat, a broken record.
Well, it's taken a while, but she has been picked, and I've had the opportunity to meet Isha. I haven't had the opportunity to play against her, though, but she has developed her game much in 2023. A really good pick from Lou Shaki. Isha is a left-handed player. She has a world of experience playing on the WTA Tour, a professional tennis player going back a few years. She's a fierce competitor on the court, and how she has come about in India. She's grown up with those younger players over the last few years, and when you're an older player playing against those younger players, that helps you train with them and develop your style with them. So Lou and Isha, the firepower on that court, and the fierce Italian and the fierce Indian playing with each other, my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Gordon, 2 U's that I want to use right here to describe things. Unique and unorthodox. I think that's what we can expect here from Isha.
Well, and yeah, just that X factor. And, you know, we've talked about the Indians having that X factor, and I'm just so glad we've got a number of Indian players in the MLP this season. It really excites me because they're going to bring a new spark to the league. And Isha is one of those players that will do that. She has an amazing win-loss record from last season, 47 wins and only 7 losses. So, and against really strong competition. So, against competition that are on this list. So, yeah, smart pick by Lou.
Absolutely. So that completes the Brisbane Breakers, their squad now. All 4 players assembled, including their captain. We've only got 6 teams remaining, 6 more selections. So Southeast Surge will be next, then the Melbourne Mavericks, the Eastern Rush, Sydney Smash, Gold Coast Glory, and then we wrap it all up with the Asia Aces. There's not too many spots up for grabs yet. We know there's been more than 150 players as part of this draft. I think it's important to acknowledge here as well, if you're not getting selected right now, it doesn't mean that it can't happen in July. We've got another draft where we really start to mix things up 6 months away.
But not only that, James, you've got the alternate list as well. So players that don't get selected here in this main draw or this main draft have the opportunity to be like a reserve. It's the alternate list. So if any of the players get injured or if for some reason a player can't participate, if you're on that list, on that alternate list, you can be slotted into a team. So it's by no means show over, and it's certainly not show over in terms of season 2. So if you're not selected in this season 1, keep training and just keep improving your game for season 2, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Gordon, you're 100% right. Of course, this is a new era for pickleball in this country. Major League Pickleball for Australia 2024. Completely professional now. We've got new players, new teams, a whole lot more in the prize pool as well. $700,000. There's obviously, Brendan, a lot to play for. 6 spots left. 6 final places to potentially get on there. We know, of course, there is the alternate list. Last year we saw a number of players who were substitutes coming into the fold late and having really good seasons too.
Without a doubt. 3 males, 3 females, 2 regional picks. One has to be a New South Wales player, one has to be based in Southeast Asia. It'll be really interesting to see how this unfolds. Like $700,000 available in 2024 in Major League Pickleball and in the Pacific Pickleball League is absolutely incredible. Never in my I didn't imagine that this was going to unfold this early in Australia. I've been around a number of years. I didn't think 2023, 2024 would be seeing such incredible opportunities for Australian pickleballers, and now pickleballers beyond that to actually come to Australia.
Yeah, well, just on the prize money, of course, it's around about 3 times as much as we saw last season. So just incredible development there. But more to the point, you're right, it's about the pathways that we're putting in place and really taking the sport to that next level. All right, here we go. Southeast Asia Surge, pick 31. They're running out very quickly.
With pick 31, the Southeast Asia Surge select from Taiwan, Youngsing Seng.
Oh, Dora. Well done.
Well, there we go, the Southeast Asia Surge. Youngshin Seng. Now, this one, it's tough to make of how exactly it complements the team. There's a little bit of the unknown, but we also know enough.
We actually know plenty about Dora. So Dora, obviously based Southeast Asia, but has spent the last 4 months, 5 months in Australia. She's played Major League Pickleball for Gold Coast Glory in 2023. She's been here immersing herself in the culture, getting an understanding of the players, training with them regularly, developing her skills. Happy to see her picked for that team.
Yeah. And she, she's one of those players that has this beautiful presence off the court as well. So she's so solid on court, and she looks like she's not going to hurt you. But boy, do not underestimate her, because she can attack you and she's just solid as a rock. Her defence is so strong. She's going to bring a lot of a nice new dimension to this team. It's going to complement the attacking style of some of the players that are on the team, and I think it's a really, really clever choice.
What do you think the criteria would have been in selecting Dora here?
I think it would have been a combination of things. I think her experience combined with just, like, if you know her as a player, I think you would know that she's rock solid. You know she's going to be a partner that's going to get the job done, and you know you're going to be in every point until the last minute, until that last shot's played. So, yeah, I think, yeah, she's an incredible player.
Quality selection there. Now, I believe as well we have from Brisbane, Lucas Pascoe, I believe, is with us. So this should be a very interesting selection here. Of course, our first round pick for the Brisbane Breakers. Lucas Pascoe, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I played with Pei in the Bali tournament recently, and she's an incredible player, so I'm excited to play with her again in the team. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously Southeast Asia is one of those new teams on the block here. The competition expanded. What are you hoping to get out of the 2024 season?
I'm just trying to, I guess, just have fun at first, but I guess win as well. So I'm excited to play with a good player, have a good team. Yeah.
Well, Lucas, you're one of the youngest players on the circuit. How do you feel your game is set to develop over the next 12 months or so?
So I don't really know. I'm just gonna, I guess, try to reduce my errors and just work on everything, I guess. Yeah.
And just before I let you go, Lucas, obviously it's going to be a very interesting season where 2 events overseas, 4 here in Australia. Is it too early to say which one you're probably looking forward to the most?
I think I'm more excited for the Singapore one. I like going to Asia. I used to live in Japan, so I'm happy to go back to Asia. Really fun there.
Terrific.
Like food there as well.
And Lucas, last one. If there's one thing that we should watch out for your side this year, what is it?
What's the question?
So, Lucas, if there's one thing to watch out for this year, with your game, what is it?
I'd say my backhand speed up. That's what everyone always talks about for some reason.
Don't give away your
I don't know
secrets,
why,
Lucas.
but apparently it's difficult to get.
Well, hopefully it stays that way for you, mate. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and best of luck for the 2024 season.
Thanks.
There we go. Lucas Pascoe is very excited about it, and you can just see in the background there a nice little contingency of support showing out as well.
Yeah, and like Brendan said before, the Pascoe family are such a close-knit family, and Chris, Lucas's father, he's a great guy, and they travel together, and they're so supportive of each other, and Chris is a pretty handy pickleballer himself, so yeah, I'm just stoked for the Pascoes.
Yeah, well, Pascoe certainly looks very happy up there in Brisbane. It's great to catch up with him. Brendan, obviously we've now got just a few spots remaining. Just give us the quick run of the gauntlet here on perhaps you would say the most complete 2 or 3 sides that we've seen formed so far.
Look, with 5 selections to go, I think some of the teams coming up will actually be, in my opinion, some of the most complete teams. On paper, and look, this is rally scoring, it can unfold any way on the court, but on paper right now, I'm really excited about Brisbane Breakers and Southern Stars.
No, that's a fair point. Games are not won on paper, they are won on the court. And it's time for another selection here. Pick number 32 goes the way of where we are from this very evening, Melbourne.
With pick 32, the Melbourne Mavericks select from Australia, Coco Lococo.
Boys, I was hoping for this one. I wanted to see Coco in there. Look, I'll be honest, purely because I love the name, Coco Lococo. And I'm going Coco Pops for it.
It's great to see Coco selected. I've played most of 2023 with Coco at tournaments all around Australia. We travelled to Perth, we travelled to Tasmania, Queensland, and she is one of the truest, most humble, gentle giants on the pickleball tour, and she has a big personality and an even bigger forehand drive.
She's an excitement machine, and she backs it up with a really solid game. So, and again, going back to Aaron, what he's created here is a great Melbourne team, a true Melbourne team that's packed full of firepower, and yeah, it's a nice solid team.
Well, look, we know Melbourne loves its sport. Obviously, pickleball still building quite nicely throughout Victoria. Is this the side to really bring a bit of glory to the home state?
Well, I think Gold Coast might want to take the glory, but Melbourne, definitely. Like Aaron is captain, he's a great captain, and Tina, Damien, Coco, anything can happen with these players on the court. So, and especially this format as well. So, yeah.
And we know that Tina and Coco are a very established doubles pair as well. They have played together the last 3 years. They've been inseparable at tournaments. They've had some really good results dating back to 2022 when they took a bronze medal at one of their first tournaments, which was Australian Nationals. And since then, they've podiumed many a time. So as a pair, they're one of the few teams here where there's actually already chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much do you think that played into the thought process behind selecting Coco here?
Undoubtedly, like, as I said, the Aaron-Tina combo of a mixed doubles pair, the Coco-Tina combo of a women's doubles pair. Throw in Damien there, who has obviously the pedigree of playing in the US, and I think they're a really well-rounded package.
Well, then there were 4. We have 4 final picks remaining. Let's push on now. It's really at the pointy end.
With pick 33, the Eastern Rush select from India, Naomi Mehta.
Well, talk about meta. This is well and truly quite powerful, this selection. It's above and beyond. And Gordon, I've got to stop you from smiling. Every time there's an Indian player here selected, you just shoot through the roof. I understand it. They're very entertaining to watch, but geez, what a big round 3 it has been for Indian players.
Oh, it's sensational. And I must admit, I was thinking a few of the Indian players would get drafted sooner. But wow, they've really come home with an avalanche of picks. So I'm not surprised because they bring such talent to the game, and they just bring that X factor that we've talked about. And Naomi is one of those players, like a 49-6 win-loss record last season. She is a weapon and a really smart pick. So she's a really great choice.
Well, look, Eastern Rush by name, based on these players, will be Eastern Rush by nature as well. Do you think they'll come out all guns blazing?
Without a doubt, really big games by all 4 of these players on this team. Vish is kind of the level head on the team, as is Joey, but Vish, obviously that little bit older, brings that life experience with him as well. Obviously, there's a meta being selected. There's still one more up for grabs in Harsh, who hasn't been selected yet, drafted here. He's obviously one of India's one of his best men's doubles players, hasn't been selected. I'm sure he's very happy for his sister though.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with only 3 more spots up for grabs, it's getting very tight now. So just to recap things, if you're just joining us, more than 300 different applications. In terms of the draft pool, around about 150 players, but only 36 spots up for grabs. We've already filled 33 of them. So this is where it gets very, very nervous, I think, for a lot of players who are still in this draft, Brendan.
Look, I think a lot of players may have thought they would have been selected by now. And with the depth, though, it's hard to guarantee your position because you don't know how the captains are thinking. The captains are trying to construct a team, but there's lots of quality players here still up for grabs. So that's good news for the next 3 teams because there is such quality still on the field. And I think with any competition, you definitely want that. So whatever happens here, we're going to have a really strong league in the first half of this year with these 12 teams.
Definitely.
And Brendan, just before we jump across to our third last pick here, I know you've been keeping a nice little tabulation of what spots are still remaining here. Who still needs to be selected in terms of international, regional, female, male players?
Well, we've got 3 male spots to go from my calculation. I could well be wrong here, but 3 male spots. By the looks of things, Mitch has to choose a Sydney local or a New South Wales local player. I don't know who that's going to be, but I'm excited to find out.
And unfortunately for you, we're not back on the draft as of yet. There might be 2025, so we'll find out exactly what is about to happen. Let's go to our third last pick.
With pick number 34, the Sydney Smash select from Australia, Jason Taylor.
Well, there we have it, Jason Taylor. Now, that's a name we might also associate with rugby league. Of course, the North Sydney Bears back in the day, little diminutive halfback, but I think we've got another crafty play here in a different sport, pickleball. This is a solid team the Sydney Smash have put together. Well,
Jason does not have a lot of pickleball experience, but what he does bring is many years travelling on the ATP ITF circuit, playing with his brother Adam. They've done a little bit of pickleball. I've seen some highlight reels on Jason's Instagram. He's a North Coast local boy in New South Wales, where I grew up, so I know Jason from a long time ago. Great to see him selected. Probably with his pickleball background or the lack thereof, he's got a lot of upside and he brings that unknown factor again. But he's such an accomplished doubles player, really fast hands. He will learn very quickly out here and he'll complement Mitch and his mixed doubles partner very well.
With that said, are you a little surprised, given the perhaps lack of experience with pickleball, that he was selected here?
No, and I think we've seen this, in MLP in the States when, teams, when captains and managers are drafting teams, they're looking to the future, not what's been done in previous years or where players currently sit. They're looking at what's going to unfold over the next 6 months. And undoubtedly, if Jason does apply himself, he's hitting that, and he's going to be on the court regularly now. With this opportunity, he is going to be on that practice court, most likely with Mitch, training regularly, and he's going to get up to speed really quickly.
Gordon, one thing, of course, with the lack of experience comes a bit of an unknown, if you will. Mm-hmm. Yes, we've got the highlights there on Instagram, but he could be a real X factor for them.
Oh, absolutely. I do not doubt it at all. I think what's happened here is Mitch is, again, he's got this knack of creating great players. Mitch is obviously located in Sydney. which hasn't traditionally been a hotbed, if you like, of talent in Australia. But he's fast changing that. He's transferring players from tennis, bringing them across to pickleball, and he's creating champions. So what I see him doing here is the same with Jason, but not only with Jason, he's got that ATP experience, and you look at what he's already got. He's already got Amelia and Anna Claire. He's got a great team.
Yeah, certainly does. Of course, throwing the captain Mitch, and no shortage of talent, that is for sure. But just 2 final spots available for our remaining talent. Let's move to pick number 35.
With pick 35, the Gold Coast Glory select from the USA, Roman Esteraja.
From the US to the Gold Coast. Glory in name and nature here, Roman Esteraja. What do we think of that one?
It's a great name. It's very fancy, and I'm sure the pickleball backs it up. If Sarah Burr is making that selection, undoubtedly she's done her homework. I'm sure she's looked to what Roman can bring to her team, how he can complement Alex as well as her second pick there, and how he will complement Danielle on that mixed doubles format as well.
Gordon, we haven't seen too many last round picks of an international perspective. How does that change things a little bit?
Well, I think it adds another dimension to the Gold Coast Glory. Roman, you look at what he brings. He brings a wealth of international experience. He's got links to the Philippines, and he's got that experience from America. So it's a great selection, which will bring that extra dimension. Sarah's now got herself. She's got Danielle, Alex Fairbanks and Roman as a team. That's a pretty darn good lineup.
Yeah, real mix, of course, with the height there of Alex Fairbanks as well. Gents, just before we get to our last selection here, of course, only one final spot available. We started this around about an hour and a half ago, and we've gone through 35 different spots. The final spot, 36. It's still up for grabs. The real question is, who are we surprised hasn't been picked so far? And what are some of the hottest talent, I suppose, that's still maybe even scratching their heads thinking, what have I done to miss out?
Look, I haven't really gone through the list yet. I know there's probably a lot of Australian players that were definitely in the running, but a really strong international selection here by a lot of the Australian captains has definitely changed that.
Yeah. Gordon, what do you think? Is there probably one player that you're saying they've got to find a spot for them still?
Oh, I'm looking at the list now, and there's at least 10 players I'd be saying that about, and I don't want to mention one over another because they're all that good. And the captains have, it's a tough job, and they've had to approach this from a professional sport, which is now, MLP. It's a professional sport. They've got to make professional decisions, and sadly, there's going to be people that miss out, but there are opportunities moving forward.
Certainly are. Of course, we talk about that backup list along with the July draft in around about 6 months' time. And certainly, as Gordon has mentioned, very much a professional, fully fledged professional league now. Major League Pickleball Australia for 2024. We've only got one spot left, but of course, we've whittled it down. Around about 300 players as part of the application process. Just a mere 10% getting a spot. That really puts things into perspective as well. But we do have one final place here. Let's move on to our last draft pick, number 36.
With the final pick, pick 36, the Asia Aces select from Hong Kong, David Yang.
Well, there it is, done and dusted. We have our complete draft, and the last player to snag a spot here for the Asia Aces is David Yang. Brendan, it's all wrapped up.
Look, a good selection there by Venice, a complete international team outside of Australia, coming to play 4 events in Australia. Once again, we've talked about it. They're going to have to get here early. They're going to have to prepare. They're going to have to get used to the conditions here. That's a strong team from outside of Australia, though.
Absolutely.
Gordon, I know that we've had a number of players that we were looking at thinking, can they squeeze them in? Where is it going to come from? David, though, does he fit the mould well for the Asia Aces?
Oh, definitely. He definitely fits the mould. And like Brendan said, this is a truly international team. And, with the regional picks included, And what a team, you know, like unbelievable. But we've talked about it before. Having a strong team on paper doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate into a championship. So you can have a, you know, that old cliche, a team of champions, but you can have a champion team. So whoever can create that culture and that dynamic thrust that will win the title, it will be the team that obviously wins the next season.
Gordon, I think you're spot on. We've talked so much, all three of us tonight, about chemistry and building those combinations, whether it be a great mixed combination or a doubles pairing. But the culture around a lot of these teams, I think that has been a key focus for every captain in their selections this evening.
Without a doubt. And look, 12 teams here that are bringing a variety of different skill sets to their team, which is really interesting to see how this has unfolded tonight. Definitely some curveballs that I didn't see coming, which obviously makes this draft, these selections really exciting, and it makes the MLP first half of this year even more exciting.
Well, look, it's been very exciting and a real privilege to bring it to you this evening. Thank you so much, Gordon Watson, Brendan Lee, and of course, Sanj Carter, who is currently off screen for us, but she's done a great job here in terms of working through all those draft selections. But we're not quite wrapped up just yet. We've got to talk about when we'll get to see all these teams in action. So this is how it's all going to play out for season 1 of the Major League Pickleball Australia for 2024. The first half of the season, it all begins with the Pacific Pro Sydney from February 23 to 25. Don't want to miss that one. Then we head international for pretty much, I believe, the first time here as well as part of Major League Pickleball Australia. The Pacific Pro Auckland, March 29 to March 31. And then to wrap up the first half of the season, the Pacific Pro in Brisbane, May 17 to 19. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here with us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed all the coverage. It has been an unreal draft. And, of course, we are set for a massive 2024 for Major League Pickleball Australia. From myself, James Preston, and all the team, have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you on the court.